So my name is Nita Abbott, and I'm running for Granby Planning Board. I've lived in Granby for almost 15 years, and I love the town. Um, I'm really eager to answer some of these questions so people can get to know me a little better, and people that already know me can get to know why I want to be on the planning board. And everybody come out and vote May 17th. So I want to run for a planning board because of a couple of reasons. The first reason is I love the town of Granby. And like I just said, I've lived there for almost 15 years. And secondly, I feel like I have the time and the background to be an asset to the planning board in particular. I picked planning board because I feel like my background and skill set, that's what I could get, most benefit people in the town with. So because I'm an attorney and I serve as a legal advisor to a company called the United Arc, which is out of Franklin County. So I feel like I can bring that legal background to the table. I feel that it's an asset to the town because of all the changes that the state has made to the zoning bylaws. And so that's why, like I said, I decided to run for planning board in particular. I feel that that skill set in particular suits to reading, writing, and working on changes if needed to the bylaws, which is pretty much what the planning board's all about. Yeah, I actually do. So I think that Granby, like having like we have the common, we have all like the beautiful buildings, and we have a certain aesthetic and feel to the town. And I think being that kind of a town, that Granby could benefit from businesses that sort of mirror the feel of our town. Do I think I want like a huge Wendy sign like right out on 202? I mean, not necessarily, but I think Granby's always been a really strong farming community. It's one of the beauties of our town. I feel that certain businesses like maybe agro-tourism, for example, specialty farms, and bed and breakfast type operations, antique shops, and those types of things would fit very well into our town and would be a really good benefit. If I was on the planning board, I would probably consider like in terms of what would benefit the town. First, you'd have to look at obviously the safety and concerns of the citizens in anything you do, and then how the operation would positively impact the town. Also, I would want to make sure to, again, get clear and direct communication with the citizens to see how they feel about any industries or businesses that want to come here. So, yeah, that's what I would do. I think that the town has done a really good job in putting together, like, for example, the town website, especially this year, like making it a lot easier for people to get to meetings through like what you're doing, Zoom or through GoToMeeting. I think maybe like the actual town website could be a little bit more intuitive for people to actually jump on meetings, or, for not people just on boards, but for the citizens to know how to jump onto a meeting or know when the meetings are going to be. And I've heard people, when I've watched different meetings of different boards, complain that it was difficult for them to find out when meetings were going to be and how to get on, how to speak, and what they want to speak in a meeting. But I think if that was made a little more intuitive, that would help. So if citizens could be apprised of board and committee meetings a little earlier, that'd be great. And maybe I was actually thinking if there could be a class, we could do a class like maybe at the library to explain to people how they can get onto meetings and how town government works. Once the library opens, I mean. And in terms of changing processes, I guess that would go back to what I was saying about the bylaws, as well as looking at the master plan of the town. So I guess that's the way that the town could change some of the things to make themselves a little more accessible. Yeah, I actually do think that Granby is healthy and successful in a lot of ways. I mean, I think we're a really unique town. I think it's a beautiful town. I live here by design, not just by chance. And I think we have some very unique landmarks that none of the like surrounding areas have. Ludlow, Belchertown, like we have Dufresne's Park, we have Forge Pond, we have, the Bachelor Brook recreational area. We have a lot of beautiful horse farms, a lot of interesting things. So I think we are healthy and successful in those ways. I think has a really great small community feel. You get to know, like if you're a parent like I am, you get to know the teachers in the schools really well. I mean, there's a lot of really successful things about this town. The kids do really great. I mean, one of the things that I would change, though, I think we're not successful as we do have higher taxes than many other small towns, and that's sort of a concern. I think, how would I change that? One way I would change that is through writing grant applications, like I did for Forge Pond. I helped write one, or I actually wrote one last month. That we should be finding out if we get that money in July. So I would continue to do things like that. Like I did for Forest Pond, to see for things that we need done in the town, because that would be a way to our taxes wouldn't be raised. Like grants are basically free money for the town, and mostly they're free money, and some of them are a mixture of free money and very low interest loans. I think if people just take the initiative to take their own time to volunteer and write out these applications and research grants, we could get a lot of money for the town and not have to raise our tax rates. So that'd be something I'd be really interested in continuing to do if I was on the planning board, for sure. So I guess for one, I just want to mention for a background is that whenever a town adopts or amends a zoning bylaw, it needs to be submitted to the Attorney General's office for approval. So we're sort of restricted in what we can do in terms of changing things in the bylaw because of what they approve and don't approve. I mean, it doesn't mean we can't work with the Attorney General's office, because they actually have attorneys in the municipal law division, and they're actually pretty accessible to get to and to work with. So, one thing a change that might make it easier for businesses to look at Granby as a town they want to do business in. That would be a positive change. So that's one thing I would maybe change, but I would, with the planning board, but only in the general business zone, not in a residential area. I think, like I mentioned before, one of the most glaring challenges facing Granby is the tax rate. It's just too high. We're I think out of 344 municipalities, I believe we're 312. It had to exactly, but we're very high. So that's a big challenge, but I don't think it's an unfixable challenge. Like I mentioned earlier about grant writing, that's a huge way to get money for the town. I think Jay Joyce has mentioned this. He's actually gotten multiple grants for the town that's helped save the taxpayers from having to spend money on things that we don't need to. So I think some of the challenges that we have in our town, particularly, are West Street School, Forge Pond dam issues, things like the Dufresne Pond needing to be dredged. But I think they're all challenges that are opportunities as well. And I think they're not insurmountable challenges. And we have a lot of, I was saying before, we also have a lot of beautiful things in our town that make it a special place. So those challenges are sort of opportunities to show people what a great and special place our town is, and using grant money would be a great way to meet those challenges and other unique maybe solutions. But maybe talking to other small towns, to their municipal officials and see what they've done to sort of solve the issues. Also, that would help. Just getting out there, talking to people, and doing work. I mean, it's a volunteer position, but I'm willing to put in the time to actually get things done. So. My core, I don't know if I can think of one. My core values include community spirit, family, friends. Do you mean like that? Kindness? Does that mean like values to people? Kindness to people, animals, nature. Which one is most important? I also believe it's important to have like respect for other people. So those are like some of my values. If I was on the planning board, I guess respect for our town and for our citizens would be my main priority, and also to make sure there's like clear and respectful communication between like the board and the citizens of Granby. Make sure they're apprised of what's going on, because a lot of people seem to want to know, and they have a right to know. It's how would I build relationships with the community? Well, one of the best things about running for planning board is like how many people in the community I've been able to meet. There's a lot of wonderful people that I've met just from getting out there and talking to people. And it's really important to me, actually, building relationships in the community. Also, because I'm a parent, I feel like I have a good sense of what's occurring in the schools. And so the school community is important to me, the general community. And then having a church community is also important to me. I started attending a local church, and I've had opportunity to meet a lot of wonderful people that way too. And then I've also met people like actually when we did the show, the GCAM show, that I was involved in that Granby Life. So that was a great way to meet people in the community, from the donkey rescue that's down the street to, the horse rescue in another section of town. So, and then also through like a couple of groups that I've involved with, whether it's the Friends of Forge Pond, or actually recently some people have nominated me to be on the board of the Granby Preservation Society. So I'm really excited about that, because I think that'll be another like great opportunity to meet even more people in the community. I mean, I feel like I know a lot of people already because I lived in Granby for 14 years, but almost 15. But I'm a people person, so building relationships in the community is really, really important to me. Well, I don't want Granby to really change like in essentials. I think it's a small, rural, close-knit community, and I don't want that to change. I want us to continue to have a respect for like all our old buildings as well, and they're really, because they're very special, a lot of them. I want us to continue having like fun community events like Dino Fest, Charter Days, Jingle Bell Bazaar. So I think the Commons, actually is right across the street from me, which is owned by the UCC Church, is sort of underutilized. I think that we have like a really special, large, beautiful Commons area here in Granby. Looking around the other towns, and I think I saw someone talking about doing like a weekly farmers market, like on the Commons, to encourage like local agro businesses, and I thought that was a really great idea. I'd love to see something like that happen. I'd love to see in the future more of an interest in Granby's history too, because I find that pretty fascinating. The Granby Historical Association puts on like a really great winter event called Holly Tea. I think like I'd love to see more people interested in going to that. In terms of what I wouldn't want to look like, I wouldn't want more pollution in our town. So, not that I think anyone else does either. Well, I think the most burning, pressing issue in our community, it'd be to figure out a way for our tax rate not to go up. So I think that would be the most burning issue that we have. That's the one I hear people talk about the most also. So I think it's really important to the citizens of the town. So I would always be looking to that issue whenever I'm looking at anything. If I was on the planning board, I would probably address it by researching why it's so high presently too, and what ways we can go about making sure it doesn't go higher. So I think that's probably the most burning issue that we face in our community. So, I think that the community here is great. That's why I live here, and I think there are things that need to be changed. But what I think it's necessary to redevelop. I mean, I think that sounds like a little bit harsh. I'm not sure about that. Like, I think there's things that need to change, like the school system to make it more efficient for the town. For example, I mean, I was on the Granby Junior Senior High School Council for several years, like from 2015 to 2018. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the schools. And I currently have, Jenna, I have a child in the middle school. So I feel like I understand the concerns of parents as well. But, and I think that maybe that's something that we could look at, the school system. There's actually a lot of resources out there to try to make our school system more efficient for Granby. We could interview officials from other small towns that have done it right, that people like maybe would say, of citizens of Granby might say, oh, well, we should look towards Hadley or Hatfield and see what they're doing right in terms of schools. Or we could research educational grants, to get money for a school to try to revamp the building. So I think that it's really easy to complain and say we need to redevelop this or that. But if we take some of our own time to look into what actually needs to be done and not give up, because it's not easy. It's not easy to do. It's easy to complain, but it's hard to take time to like work on something, put it down on paper, put yourself out there, and call people. And those are the things that I've already done already, and I'm willing to do on the planning board, and that's why I'm running for planning board. Well, after losing the town trash dump in 2013, our taxes have been like climbing steadily, and like it's sort of alarming actually. Like I said before, out of 344 towns in Massachusetts in 2020, we're at 312. That's really high. So it'd be really easy for me to say, oh yes, the high school needs an updated or a new building, but that takes like a lot of money. I know that Jay Joyce had an idea of maybe like putting in a solar farm at the Sands Plain Park, and so that we would maybe recapture some of the money we're spending on electricity for the school buildings, for example. And I think he was like sort of on the right track of thinking, what can we do to save money in that way? Like maybe we could go, it just goes back to putting in work. Like I'm willing to spend my own time to look into finding creative solutions for the town and making sure that the town just isn't having to pay for things that we can't afford, and it's just raising the tax rate. Dufrane's Park needs to be dredged. As I mentioned earlier, about Forge Pond Dam needs to be repointed. And it would be, I know it would be a burden for the town to pay for these things. And that's why I've been I dedicated my own time to pursuing state grants to pay for it. I think West Street School too, that would be a great spot to fix in some mode. And again, we have to be willing to put in the time and the work to figure out what can be done with it, and not just like talk, but like written proposals to the town, putting it in writing as to what can be done, how much it's going to cost, and how it can be paid for without increasing our town taxes. So. Okay. So I guess I would say that I made the decision to run for planning board over other town positions because I see it's a board where I can benefit the town the most. I don't have a financial or other gain from being on this board. It's a volunteer position. I simply want to help the town because I love the town. And I think that my skill set would help the town and save the money. Because the planning board is by the bylaws, and my background, I'm an attorney. So with all the recent changes to the zoning bylaws made by the state, I just feel my legal background will be an asset to the town and save the town, money and time, which is what I'm going for. And let's see. I guess I want to thank you, Alex, for having people do this. It was a great idea on your part to have this kind of a special so that we can get our ideas out there and why we're running, what we've already been doing, for the town. It's nice to be able to it's different to be on this side. I remember when we did the show together, that Granby Life, it's different being on the side where you're asking questions than when you're being asked questions. So it's been interesting to do that. I guess anyone who has an interest in talking to me further about my background, or if they have ideas for the town, or anything they want to talk to me about, can I give out my phone number, Alex?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so please call me. My phone number is 413-654-8555. And you can call or text me on that number. And, like I said, you can talk to me about my background. You can talk to me about my ideas for the town or anything you want. And please come and vote. The date is May 17th, and voting will be at the high school. And I love to meet everybody. Every single person that's watching or listening to this, and I love to listen to your ideas of what you think we can do to keep Granby moving in the right direction.